afternoon, Carlos Nieto board. During the investigation we started for your brand, we assumed that the management problem was how to increase sales of Carlos Nieto, improving the positioning or the brand exposure within the young public. This problem came because we felt that this brand had very little presence in the group of young Colombians, and we wanted to find out why. Afterwards, we decided the research problem that it would be what are the buying habits of young people today in Colombia in terms of formal clothing. This is because if we know what young people want, we can make the brand position itself better in its niche. As objectives, we define to analyze average spending per formal pledge of young people, analyze the preference of clothing in young Colombians, know the occasions where the young people buy formal clothes, establish the perception that the young people of the young people have of Carlos Nieto, and evaluate the perception of young people with the competing brands.
With this investigation, we expected first to know the wishes and needs of young people to achieve positioning of the brand. Second, to know the price of young people are able to pay. Third, increase the sales of the company by 20% by including another new market segment. And fourth, have a presence of 5% on sales of formal clothes in young people in Colombia. And five, and the last one, define the new collection focused on this new segment. To develop this research, we decided to make a focus group with 6 young people or young men who had bought formal clothes in the last month. The focus group lasted for 30 minutes, and we managed to have the answers to all our objectives we told last minute.
The first objective was the average expenditure per formal clothes of young people. We didn't get exact information about the amount, but we did get about their behavior. Something important was that these people purchase this type of clothes very occasionally, maximum twice a year. This small recurrence meant that when they went shopping for this type of clothes, they tried and preferred high-value clothing. The other objective was to analyze clothing preference in young Colombians. This also brought important information. We realized that young people are very little interested in ties and belts. That are not elements that this type of people buy often. This cleared a change in the market. Our parents always had ties as their favorite items, buying variety of that product. The type of clothing that people prefer were shoes and shirts.
We had the opportunity to ask the participants about the occasion that required the purchase of formal brand clothing, and we realized that the number of times this happened a year is low. Mainly, they were events of label that requires this type of events, such as degrees, marriage, among others. Not being many occasions that have the year that requires formal dress, it's understood that every time the use of informal clothing is more frequent and more accepted in various media. Based on the statements that some of the young people gave us about Carlos Nieto, we could see that most of them know this brand. Out of 6 people we interviewed, 4 of them knew this brand. This is the 66.67% of these men that were available to give us a perception of Carlos Nieto. Most of them agreed that this brand dedicated to make formal clothes and tailored suits. All the young people concluded that the first garment that comes to the mind when they think about Carlos Nieto is complete suits. None of them said anything different. In addition to these 4 men interviewed, say that they would buy and continue buying this brand since they know one of them and is loyal to Carlos Nieto. Finally, we recommend Carlos Nieto to focus on expanding the inventory and also to focus on the portfolio of shirts and shoes that is the most common